A study of control must draw a tight focus on the programs of American intelligence agencies. General William Wild Bill Donovan in 1940 is believed to have been the first person to call attention to the need for an American Psychological Warfare Division. Thus is explained the beginning of the Office of the Coordinator of Strategic Services, COI, that became the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, in 1942. The COI, from its inception, was a black operation run by Donovan, with little governmental scrutiny applied to the way it used its funds. That's from Mass Control, Engineering Human Consciousness by the late, great Jim Keith. This is also available from Adventures Unlimited Press. At least it was when I bought it. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Stench of Truth. There are a lot of things in the news that I could be talking about today, but I want to talk about a subject that I have not yet talked about, and that is chemtrails. And what are chemtrails, and what in fact may be going on in our skies? The reason this came up for me today is that today when I was leaving my house in order to do some shopping and some other things that I needed to do, I have a very small yard, and in my yard I have a couple of, well, more than a couple, but there are some areas where the grass had died, and I had put in some patch material there in order to you know, try to get the grass to grow up again. And well, I was looking to see if any of the grass had sprouted, and I noticed these gelatinous looking blobs on my lawn. And now I know that in relation to gelatinous blobs, particularly you know, something that looks a lot like jelly and is clear that this could be the product of some natural phenomenon, I'm sure. Some people mentioned before about snails producing a sort of gelatinous goo. But one thing that I found very interesting about this gelatinous stuff that I found is that more than one of the pieces have, you know, straight edges or corners. They're not what you would expect from a naturally occurring thing, which you would expect to have more of blobbish or circular characteristics to it. So it made me suspicious to think, what is this? Now, I don't know. Lord knows. And you're not going to be able to see it too well in the video, I'm sure. Now, the green stuff that's in there is some of the, you know, stuff that I put into the that I planted out there on my lawn to try to get it the grass to grow again. And the dark little bits is actual dirt and whatnot from my lawn, and there are a little bit of twigs and grass in there. But if I shake this around, you can see that it jiggles. Well, maybe you can't, I don't know, but you can see that it jiggles, or I can see that it jiggles just like gelatin, and it seems to be absolutely clear. Now, I don't see anything in it, but I don't have a microscope in order to tell you. I might examine it underneath a magnifying glass later today, but I just collected it in this little plastic thing here. And you can see there's quite a bit of it, and I didn't get it all up. And you can't see in the video, perhaps, the angular nature of it and the very flat sides, which you would not expect to be from from a naturally occurring phenomenon. Now, I'm not saying that that is the product of chemtrails, but this has been associated with chemtrails before. So is it? I don't know. It could possibly be some natural phenomenon, but it made me think about this subject, thus this video. So what are the possible reasons why the government would be spraying the atmosphere with various whatever the hell they are? Now, we know that some chemtrails have been analyzed, and they have shown high levels of heavy metals and various other toxic materials such as barium and aluminum and some other things like this, which are, you know, bad for people's immune system. Also, there has been, you know, speculation that some sort of that the effects of chemtrails are designed to be of a mind control type of action on people, in that they either react with the neurophysiology of people in order to make people more susceptible to coercion and what have you. And I don't find that the least bit hard to believe. The other thing is that maybe what is being sprayed into the atmosphere is some sort of, you know, a geotechnological thing to try to, you know, supposedly protect us from the deadly rays of the sun. But that sounds a hell of a lot more like propaganda to me. I think if we find that these goos and these gelatinous things coming out of the sky, if that's where they're from, and they're being sprayed from you know, airplanes, then it makes me wonder that maybe this is in some way designed to directly inflict illness on people. Because that's another possibility, that it could be a tremendous drain on any particular country to have their entire healthcare system bogged down with constantly sick people. And the fact that our own government may be doing it to us should not come as a surprise to anybody, because we have been the subject of testing by the military and by the government for years. Some of this has been declassified, but there's a vast host of it which is still secret that we have no access to and we have no way of knowing about. So, you know, what are chemtrails? You know, I didn't see any in the sky when I went out today, but we're extremely overcast, so that doesn't really mean anything. But, you know, I have no doubt that there's something being sprayed in our atmosphere. Is it, is it an attempt to try to engineer our environment, to protect us from deadly solar radiation? Well, I'm sure that that will be the first spin that is thrown out by the government when and if they ever decide to acknowledge that such a thing is happening. But my view is that we're looking at several different things that are going on here. One, to make people directly sick, to sicken them with either bacterial or virus or even mycoplasma things that may be embedded in, you know, gelatinous goo like this. And then you have the metals, which are, you know, like barium and the aluminum and what have you, which are directly designed to affect the neurophysiology of people. And they're detrimental not only to our mental function, but also to our, you know, our innate immunity and our immune system. And these are very serious questions, and they're very serious things that are happening. And the fact that we don't have a lot of information to go on, except for what we experience with our own eyes, means that we need to be extremely diligent about what we do and try to record as much as we can, even if it's pure fucking speculation, just so we have a record of what is going on around us. And then maybe at some point in time we'll have enough information that we can pull this all together and we can decide exactly what is the fucking agenda behind this. I certainly hope so. But chemtrails, gelatinous goo, which you know is off the coast of Alaska in the freezing cold Arctic waters, also, but here found in my own backyard today. You know, what is it? I don't know, but I don't like it. And I certainly wouldn't like finding a bunch of barium and aluminum in my backyard either. So let's keep watching the skies, and let's keep a record of what we find, and hopefully we can then pull together a resource that can be used to try to figure out just what the fuck is happening here. Thank you. Good night.